Hello, quick color. Got ink on my shirt. Thankfully, water-based comes out a lot easier than Plastisol. All right. Got to mix some white ink. Not mix, but I like to thin it out with some clear core. Hope everybody's doing great today. Let's see, that's opaque core. There's clear core and Comet white. Can switch over to a different view here so we can see as I mix it. Start heating up my platens while I'm at it too. It's going to be a full front print today. I have a squeegee yet. So what is clear core? Palmetto State Pyro. So this is clear core here. It is one of the items from Green Galaxy. It's a base, so it's a transparent base. This is what comes with the Green Galaxy Fusion mixing kit for water-based inks. And since I've started, I've always taken my white and thinned it out a little bit with the clear core. I had 12% per volume to the Comet White using the Comet White water-based ink, because as you can see, it's pretty thick. I mean, it doesn't shift any, which for water-based ink is unusual. That's more like Plastisol. But unfortunately, unlike Plastisol, this water-based ink does not get more malleable and thinner or easier to work with as it warms up. Because it's water-based, it actually gets thicker. And so you have to thin it out with something else. I already have my ink card here. So rather than mixing it in the full, gallon buckets that I order, I just mix a little bit at a time. So I'll just put some white ink in here and then mix a little bit of clear core in there with it. And quick color, it really just depends. I mean, my minimum order is 12. And then as far as how much white ink I'll mix, I mean, in this container here, this is a quart container, so we're at about 330 grams there, 421. So I mean, I'm going to mix to fill the container. And then I will take and mix, after I thin it out here, I'll mix some in a little solo cup that I'm actually going to print with, because I'll add the warp drive low cure catalyst to it. And that allows the water-based ink to print at a lower temperature, or to cure at a lower temperature. And I don't have a conveyor dryer, so I use my flash to cure. And once you mix the catalyst in there, the ink only lasts about 4 to 6 hours, then it's not usable any longer. So all All right, now we got clear core, so I got 848 grams. 12% of that's another 100 grams, so I'll just pour this down in here. Doesn't have to be exact. So that's 104, that'll work. So mixing for orders, I mean, I have, you can see, change the shot here. I mean, in my cabinet here, I've got, you know, all kinds of colors that I've mixed in the past that used. They're good for, you know, it's not like you mix the pigments. You know, I have the Fusion mixing system here, so mix the colors in these pigments, and you know, I'll mix a color and then use it again a year later, and you know, depending on how much I mix of it, so it lasts. So you don't have to worry about, like, you know, mixing it right then and having to use it quickly. So I'm not sure if that answers your question. So I just mix them in those containers and keep it for future use, and either add to it or clean it out and do a different color in there. So that gets it a little thinner. It's going to stay a little wetter on press for a little longer. It's going to be a little easier to work with. So it does decrease the opacity a little bit, because, you know, you thin this out, and white is, you know, a tough one to work with anyways as far as opacity. Yeah, so that was a question that I didn't see there, but yep, it does change the opacity a little bit. But for me, I think it's worth the trade-off, to give away a little bit of opacity and just do a second pass, rather than, you know, have it be so thick and hard to work with and dry faster. And so the benefit outweighs the negative of it losing opacity. So this is a pretty big print that I'm going to do. It's a full front, pretty good size. So, you know, I want to try and not waste ink, since I'm going to be tossing this amount once I'm done. I'd rather have to mix a little more in the middle of the order than have to waste and throw away ink. What's up, Carmelo? And so I got 273 grams. Multiply that times 1.015, and I get 277. That's how much total I need once I add this warp drive low cure catalyst. So I add 1.5% of the catalyst per volume of the ink. So for me, it's just easiest to multiply it times 1.015, and it gets me the total that I need to get to. And that way I don't have to zero out. I just add to it. Rag. So 277, 275, 76. Again, this doesn't have to be exact either. You just want to at least get, see, it's 277.76. I was aiming for 69, 0.69. It's not a big deal. At least I got to the point. I don't want to be under the amount. So if I go over a little bit, it's no big deal. I've never had any issues with that. All right, so now I'll mix this up. I like to use a little longer spatula here because it bends a little easier. So give that a good mix. I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes while I finish getting the press ready. So we'll go over here. So this is the print that we're doing. So I don't think I need the laser today, so I'm not gonna worry about that. Got some orange shirts, like a nice Tennessee orange color here. And it's gonna have a white print, so that's definitely gonna lend itself to Tennessee. And these shirts are being shipped to Tennessee, to East Tennessee. So big volunteer fans out there, so they're gonna love these. This is for a buddy of mine who owns a fly fishing outfitter, and he's going to be at an event with a booth set up, so he wants to have some items there for people to purchase. So you guys can't see, but I also have the Braves game playing. That's what I'm listening to right now. You know, I wish I could play some music on these live streams, but I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube and get blocked or whatever, so I don't really know where to find copyright free stuff that I can play. That I can just hit play and not worry about it, you know, not have to keep going over to it and choosing something else. All right, got a test shirt here that I'll use. Platens are still heating up. I need to clean off the lint from the platens from when I printed the other night. I like to use these little scrub pads. And I've got the water-based adhesive on my platens. So it will reactivate that adhesive and I won't have to add more to my platens, which is nice. All right, I don't often have to add more. Usually it lasts a few different jobs depending on how many shirts I'm printing. I printed 100 the other night, so it might actually need a refresher. We'll see. They really need to be a little warm to get that adhesive reactivated. So I should have put the flash on. I usually try to turn it on first and get the platen start heating up while I'm doing everything else, and usually takes long enough that I'm ready to go, but I didn't do that. It's important to heat the platens up, not only to reactivate that adhesive, but with water-based ink, and especially since I'm curing with a flash, the heat of the platens is going to help me cure the ink, and it's going to help get the heat to go all the way through the print on both sides of the print. It's going to help when I'm flashing, as I'm going around. I make the first pass and I'm going around. It's going to sit under the flash for, you know, till I print the next pass on the next shirt, and then but I can keep going and know that it's going to continue to flash or dry as it goes around because my platens are pre-warmed, and I try to maintain that heat in those platens throughout the entire print run, because that just helps with putting the multiple layers of ink down. So it's important to heat up your platens before you get going. All right, this is the first one I did, so spray some water. So much lint. The shirts I printed the other day were comfort colors, and oh my gosh, they are just a mess. See, that's nice and tacky now. That's got a good stick to it, which is good. I don't have to add more adhesive. It's really time for me to put some new platen adhesive on. Or platen tape, sorry. God, so much lint. So annoying. So this is gonna just do in this sponge. I have to do a new one. God, that lint. So bad. If you're watching in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, let me know where you're watching from, if I don't already know where you're from. And feel free to ask any water-based ink questions if you have them. Happy to do my best to answer if I know the answer. I think this is the one I started with, so I can start printing after this. I'm going to toss this. All right, let's do a test print. If I have room on this shirt, we'll see. Let's get our ink in the screen. Probably just going to add all this white to the screen that I've got. With water-based, having more on there is only going to help keep it wet for longer, so I don't have issues with this drying out. It really doesn't dry out as quickly as everybody fears. I feel like there's a lot of fear with water-based ink. It's really not that difficult. And for me, it's worth it. I love it way more than Plastisol. Flood once you're done. So I'm definitely going to do 2 passes on this. And then flash it and do another pass. That's looking nice and clean. So you can see everything's coming through good. It's a little bit transparent right now. You know, the shirt's kind of showing through, but once we do flash and another print, it'll be fine. And I'm on my head number 6 here, or arm number 6. And I like to be, when I start printing, I like to start on number 1 so that I know when I've gone around one time. So that will work. All right, let's get started. So I usually try to get it to where, so the top of the print's going to be right there, and that's right at 3 fingers from the edge of the platen. So I didn't even have to check. Whenever I line up my screens and I line up my film on the screens, I use my registration template, which I have the printed version here, and you can download the digital file if you want to on the website. But that really helps me be consistent, and I can set up my screen, register it to, I've got a smaller version of the thing here, and I set this on my platen all the way to the edge, and then I register my screen to my registration mark right here, and then I end up exactly where I want to be, that 3 fingers down from the seam for a full front print. So that works out great. Works for me. I'm using one of the triple durometer squeegees, the 70, 60, 70, I think it is, or 60, 70, 60, I forget. It's actually a squeegee that I got whenever I bought this press. I bought this press at auction, and when I got there, there were 2 squeegees on the press, and they said, if it's on the press, it's yours. So I ended up with a couple of free squeegees and a free gallon of Comet white ink. And it is my favorite squeegee. I don't know where to find this, but I love this shape. This is the best shape ever. Probably have to mix some more ink. This is not going to be enough for this print since I got to go around twice. Differences in mesh count with water-based ink. Yeah, you're not going to want to use anything lower than like a 156. That's what I'm using here because I'm printing white. Normally with my colors, I'll use a 220. And occasionally a 305. But most of the time, I actually use a 156 is kind of my most general purpose screen, but certainly don't want to go any lower than that. And you especially want to use that if you're using white ink. But for most other colors that are super thin, you can get by with a 220, and it'll be your great screen for you, or 200, something like that. Check my temps here. Yep, already getting to 300. So I don't want to get it too hot, but that's going to be perfect on timing, so I don't have to check the temperature each time. I usually just watch for steam. Just tells me that it's hot enough for the water to begin to evaporate out of the ink. And I just know from experience that that's hot enough to be getting it to the temperature that it needs to get with this low cure additive, which is 260, 250, 260, somewhere in there. It might even be lower than that, I think, with the new stuff. You know, I'm realizing I put on the video that these were Next Level 6210s. They're actually not. They are, that's a different order. Got them confused in my mind. This one is the Bella Canvas 3001 CVC. So it's part of their Jersey Cotton line, but these are all poly cotton blends. So it's the equivalent of the Next Level 6210. It's just Bella Canvas's version. They had a little nicer color options for this particular print. Got a little bit of gunk right there. Just like that to look a little better. There we go. All right, so now I'm back to 1, so I know I need to print this one again. That's why I do that. I don't know. Helps me. Sometimes you can't always tell by looking at it. I always got to be sure I pull that loose from the platen when I'm ready to cure, because it helps it get hot. It helps that air get down underneath the print. If you don't pull it away from the platen, it'll just stick. It'll take forever to get it hot enough to cure it, and you'll risk burning the shirt. And you won't cure all the way through the thickness of the print. You know, you're not just trying to cure the top layer. Trying to cure all the way through it. Yeah, I didn't. I am using water-based platen adhesive. It's this S Green platen adhesive. See here. This stuff is really fantastic, and you stepped away, but you didn't miss anything because I didn't add new adhesive to the platens. All I did was take some water, spray on there as I'm heating up the platens. After they heat up, spray water on there and take the scrub sponge and scrub all the lint off and reactivate the adhesive that I had already put on there previously. So that's the great thing about that water-based adhesive. You don't have to keep applying new stuff as often. You can just reactivate it with water and you're good to go. Back to 1. Lee, what's up, man? Lee, have you dug out of all those boxes yet, man? Look like you guys are rocking and rolling over there. No surprise. Good to see how busy you've been, how much business you're getting. It's pretty awesome. Well deserved, no doubt. A couple more oranges, then we'll get into the grays. Some lint on there. These extra small shirts just barely fit. Yeah. Yeah, that's a busy next 2 weeks there. Good problem to have though. Y'all got any other questions? Now's a good time to ask while our boy Lee's here to answer. That's right. Lee, when are you starting expansion on your shop? You've already packed that building out. Especially since you got that laser in there. I don't remember that laser being mentioned when you were building that place out. I don't know if you had it on your radar at that point, but I know you seem to have fully utilized all the space in that current building, so I wouldn't be surprised if you're already working that way. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of years of practice of pulling these things off with a hanger. You do what you got to do when you don't have a conveyor dryer. Honestly, I don't feel like it slows me down any. Dear the deer. I wish I could be looking at property down the street, and property is so expensive out here in Colorado. I mean, I'm sure it is up there too. But man, I'd like to get in a place with an external building like you've got. But for now, the basement works fine for me. And this rental works fine for me. Seven. I hate when I have one more instead of an even six. But I'm actually going to have enough ink so I don't have to mix any more, which is nice. I have just enough. I hate loading shirts. Always so stressed that I get it crooked. Getting low on ink. Can I make it work? Ooh. Yeah, I do like the basement stuff. I mean, I'm pretty proud of this shop down here. I mean, it works well for me. I've got it set up in a way that really works well for me, efficiency wise, and it works well, most importantly for me, as a place to show you guys my process, which is more than printing and owning a print shop, what I love most. So I'm very blessed to have this shop, especially with it being a rental. Not all rental properties are, you know, this flexible as this one is. I'm gonna have just enough ink. See, one shirt, come on. Makes me wish I had ordered 5 extras so that I would finish with a complete press. But I didn't order any extras of this order because I was pretty confident that I wasn't going to mess up. It's a pretty simple print. Do this white ink print a lot, so I felt like I could do it with my eyes closed these days, so I wasn't worried about screwing up any. That's right, Palmetto, just keep at it. I mean, that's me and Lee both, I think he would agree. So much of learning how to screen print and getting good at the process and everything is just doing it and being willing to try and screw up and try and screw up and being willing to hear somebody say, oh, that won't work, and still being willing to try and maybe figure it out. I was told when I got started that I shouldn't do water-based ink. It was going to be too difficult. Plastisol would be a lot easier to learn, a lot easier to print at home. And this was from a shop that only prints water-based ink. But I tried it, and here I am, 6 years later, and it's working great. Awesome. All right. That's a wrap on those. Unplug the flash. And let's clean up. Just the right amount of ink. So it was what, 200 and something grams. Clean the squeegee off. So again, since I'm using the catalyst, whatever ink is left, which is not much, I mean, that's like a cup of ink, is trashed. No good any longer. Put some gloves on because I don't feel like getting it all over my hands, even though water-based, not a big deal because it comes right off. But I don't want to deal with it. Aqua wash. Squirt the squeegee down. I could use water, but this stuff just works really great, and it's made for water-based. Really just helps it come right off. And of course, one of the downsides to water-based is that I can't just walk away from this and leave it as it is. I gotta totally clean it up, even if I were gonna come back and print some more of these, which I might actually be doing. I gotta totally clean the screen. So that the ink doesn't dry in the stencil and mess it up. And since I am gonna come back to this, I'm not gonna remove any of the tape, because if I remove it and then I spray this aqua wash, I'm not gonna be able to get tape to stick on it again unless I rinse it with a hose, which is no big deal. I've hardened this emulsion in the sun, so I could rinse this out with a power washer and the hose and not worry about it breaking down the emulsion. It would stick just fine. I've printed multiple days, multiple times on screens, and no issues with them breaking down. I use the base layer complete emulsion. I have since the beginning, back when it was Cryocoat. A lot of ink over on the edges. Yep. And Lee, have you, or did you notice, I don't know, I need to talk to Ryan or Brandon or somebody about this, but whenever Ryan was doing a live print not long ago, they were doing a fundraiser, and Ryan was printing water-based and talking about the catalyst, and he said something like, this catalyst only lasts a certain amount of time, and then he said 24 hours, or no, he said 4 to 6 hours or something like that. And he said, then you'll have to add more catalyst if you want to use the ink again. And I thought, they've always said that you have to throw the ink away, that it's just no good. You've ruined the ink. But that sounded like you could add more catalyst and recharge the ink. So I don't know. Maybe he misspoke. Again, I need to talk to Brandon or Ryan about it and see what they say, or any of them over there at Ryanette. They're all smart people. I appreciate everybody watching and joining today, especially Lee. You know, appreciate it, man. I mean, you're the big guy on the block, and I'm just trying to join the party. But you're inspiring a lot of people, and I really enjoy watching that. I've learned a lot from you myself. So we all are cheering for you and want you to keep going. It's fun to watch. So, all right. That's it, y'all. I'm finished. I got to go get my kid up. So, thank you for joining. Have a great day.